Then there's a whole question of access to it. Driving is not a fundamental right. Voting should be a fundamental right. So nowhere do we encourage people to drive in the same way that we encourage people to vote. So there's a real burden here, and it's a burden that falls across the spectrum, but I think it falls particularly on historically disenfranchised voters who have less access to the political process, on poorer voters, on elderly voters, and that's why this law has been struck down on numerous occasions, not just by liberal judges, but the most recent decision was by a court of appeals, a unanimous court of appeals written by a George W. Bush appointee. There's also been no evidence of voter impersonation fraud in Texas or elsewhere to justify these new ID requirements. For example, there have been 1 billion votes cast since 2000, but only 30 credible cases of voter impersonation fraud. So this is not just a big problem. I'm not against requiring some sort of ID. I'm requiring an ID that not everyone has and that there's no real need for. And so I think this is largely a manufactured problem. I think it sounds like common sense, but if you look at the data, there's not a need for it, and it is burdening a serious and significant segment of society.